Because that's the question you should be asking. Because you're simple. That's why you believe Christ is white. Because you're simple. You don't open up the Bible and read it. You don't read Revelation 1, the description of Christ.
God's laws are the keys to immortality.
That's right.
God's laws are the keys to freedom.
That's right.
You don't want that. Read on.
Are they keeping the laws of God? No, they're not. They're teaching you that God's laws are done away with. Continue on, please. For this sort.
Right? And what happened to our people? Did they diminish? Were they spoiled? Nope. Our state of our people was destroyed, even more than it was. Right?
Because number one, there is no truth. There is no truth. So what truth is God talking about? What do you mean there's no truth? We're going to read it to you straight out of the Holy Scriptures. What truth we're talking about. Read that, soldier.
The book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 142.
Uh-huh.
Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness.
Uh-huh.
And thy law is the truth.
My bro, what's your nationality?
Taino?
Come here for a second, real quick. You got time? Because it seems like I'm trying to, we out here for our people, and every time I holler at one of our people, they don't never have any time. So I'm going to ask you straight up. You got time?
See Caesar.
You see Caesar. You said Taino. What does God call you according to the Bible?
I don't know, brother.
Look up there on that sign, bro.
Ephraim. That's my name.
That's your name. Now, do you think it's a coincidence that you are named Ephraim? Why does a lot of our Hispanic brothers, the so-called Puerto Ricans, love to use that name? Why? Give me Deuteronomy 7:6 real quick. Read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Nah, soldier, you read that wrong. All people were created equal.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Did you hear what God said?
All people.
That blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are his chosen people. And they are above all people that are on the face of the earth. But something doesn't, if we above all people, then why are we at the bottom of society, right? That should be going through your mind, right? Look very of course. Let me show you why. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. I want to show you something. See, we up here, we're not going to use our own mouth. We're not going to speak and give you what you think you want to hear or what you want to hear. We're going to give you what thus saith the Lord. Okay? Listen to this.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day.
What's going to happen?
That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
You hear that? God told our forefathers, Ephraim, that if we were obedient, that he would set us on high above all the nations of the earth. But of course, with that comes a flip side. That if we not, now just looking around in our communities, blacks, Hispanics, Native American community, does it look like we are a lawful people?
Nah.
Wait, no type of laws, right?
Nah.
Listen to what God said if we broke his laws. Give me verse 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses,
What was going to happen?
that all these curses
Okay.
shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So God gave a stipulation that if we were disobedient to his word, that all these curses were going to come upon us. Let's solidify that. Go to the book of, hold that. I want to show this brother that we're underneath the curses right now. Go into the book of Daniel chapter 9. Give me verse 11. Because our history, bro, is in this book. If you're interested, we're going to give you your history and show you how you became Taino, what language you spoke, why you're in the position that you're in. Because these are answers as blacks and Hispanics we always ask. Well, why is the white man's foot on our neck? Why do all these things happen to us? The answers are in the Bible. Listen to this.
The book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 11. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law.
All Israel has done what?
Transgressed thy law.
Read.
Even by departing, that they might not obey the voice. Therefore the curse poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him.
Now, have you ever heard of the prophet Daniel? He's prophesying and explaining that at this time, which was during the Babylonian Empire, that our people will pour a curse upon. He's referring back to the law of Moses, which we were in Deuteronomy 28, which I was reading to you about if we went to go astray, that these curses were going to happen to us. So now, let's read some of the curses that affect you, that affect me, that affect this sister right here, that affects this brother right here. If you are black, Hispanic, or Native American, these curses involve you. This is your history. Give me verse 37.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 37.
Listen up.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
Stop. What is an astonishment?
Like surprise?
Surprise. So the Most High God said that his people would become an astonishment. Now, when you see Hispanics with blonde hair, or a black guy with blonde hair, or our sisters with yellow, blue, green, silver hair, that's an astonishment. When the other nations look at us, bro, they're like, whoo. You understand what I'm saying? So God said that we were going to become an astonishment. Read.
A proverb.
A proverb. You know what a proverb is? I'm going to give you one. Check this out. All Puerto Ricans steal cars. Do you steal cars, brother?
Never.
Never. But that's the proverb, right? You've heard that proverb before.
Yeah.
They all drive Toyotas. Is that true?
I drive a Honda.
You understand what I'm saying? That's a wise saying, my brother. It's a proverb. Read.
And a byword.
And a byword. I asked you what your nationality was. You told me you was what? Taino. Usually, if I was somebody else, if we wasn't standing up here with the purple holding the Bible, you would have said Puerto Rican.
Right.
All right, but you get what I'm saying? Our people are always trying to be deep. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So, the Bible calls you from the tribe of Ephraim. You've called yourself Taino. You've called yourself Puerto Rico. What does Puerto Rico mean?
Rich port.
What's so rich about Puerto Rico?
The resources that the Europeans came.
Raped, robbed, and plundered. Your port, Puerto Rico was so rich at one time that when Columbus and them came over to the islands, you guys were playing with gold marbles. They got so jealous and took over and started killing you guys to get your gold, and also set up situations where they put you in a stipulation that if you didn't collect a certain amount of gold or mineral resources, they would use you as an example and cut your foot off or cut your hand off, and then have the audacity to make you wear it around your neck. But yet, these are your friends today though, huh? Read.
A byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
A byword. You know what a byword is? You spit. You coon. You colored. You nigger. Negro. Those are bywords. Those are not being called out of our name, everything but what we are. So read it from the top so we get the full understanding.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword, among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead you.
So no matter where we are on the earth, we are these are the attributes of the Latin, black, and Native American man. No matter where we are on the earth. Read.
Thou shalt carry much seed out in the field, and shalt gather but little in.
When they had our forefathers and foremothers in the fields, the sugar cane and all those good ideas. Matter of fact, speaking of sugar cane, when your people was in the fields in the sugar cane industry, right? Like Domino and all those places, do you know that they took the resources of the sugar cane, brought it to another country, processed it, they came back to Puerto Rico and sold it to your people?
No.
These are the curses that the Bible's talking about. You shall do what?
Thou shalt carry much seed out in the field.
So you're going to be working your behind off. Carry much seed out into the field. Read.
And shall gather but little
And
in.
shall gather but little in. That goes all the way to today. You work, right? It seems like you bust your behind all week long and work and bring but little money in. Just barely enough to cover your bills. These are the curses that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in. Give me 41.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters. Read.
But thou shalt not enjoy them.
But you won't enjoy them. Why?
For they shall go into captivity.
Because they're going to go into captivity. Did you know that your people were enslaved also? You know that, right? Your ancestors had sons and daughters, but you didn't enjoy them because they went into captivity. They will be able to be sold to De Santo or sold to Rodrigo Perez. What's your last name? Gutierrez
Lopez.
Plantation. You understand what I'm saying? These are not your names. These are the names that were given to us during slavery. Give me verse 43.
Verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
Now, why does Moses stipulate that the stranger that is within us shall get up very high? Because when our forefathers, Ephraim, was taken out of Egypt, right? We had strangers amongst us, which are those of other nations, okay? We were the head. We were on top. But Moses is saying that if we don't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments that God has given us, this is what's going to happen. So part of the curses is that the strangers that is within us, what's going to happen?
The stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high. And thou shalt come down very low.
So let me give you an example of that. In black and Hispanic neighborhoods, you got Chinese nail shops, you got the Arabs, you got the quickie marts. You understand what I'm saying? Where they're selling incense of their gods and all this stuff in our neighborhoods. And they're making the money. We might have a couple of liquor stores or this or that, but they don't seem to last long. We might have a bodega or two. You understand what I'm saying? But in the whole grand scheme of things, the strangers get above us very high. And what do? They take their money that they make in our communities and they go out to their own communities and share it with their people. What do our people do? We make our money in the communities and we turn around and we give it to the other nations. That's a curse. That's what the Bible is talking about. Read.
And he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
And we will borrow from these nations. But we don't give these nations. Do they come to us for any type of money, any type of anything? No, they don't. These are the curses of the Bible. Give me verse 45.
Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
Until you don't know that you are an Israelite, that you're thinking that you're just a Taino Indian from the island of Puerto Rico. Read.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, where he commanded thee.
Okay, read.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
And in case you want to know how we know that you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true Israelites of this Bible, because this is the sign. How do you know where Walmart is? You look at the sign. How do I know that Medical Center of Greater Mattapan is standing right in front of us? Because, well, I'm looking at the sign. Well, we know who the children of Israel are because we see the signs. We see the curses. Only one group of people are suffering from these curses that this book is talking about. Read on verse 48.
Verse 48. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies.
Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies. Pay attention to that key word. Enemies. Read.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
Ephraim, who sent our enemies against us? Making sure that you're paying attention. Read it again from the top.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall sin against thee.
Who sent our enemies against us?
Lord.
Read.
In hunger,
So when you're hungry, Ephraim, you got to serve your enemies to get food.
and in thirst,
And when you're thirsty, Ephraim, you got to serve your enemies.
and in nakedness,
And when you want clothes, Ephraim, you got to serve your enemies. Read.
and in want of all things.
So whenever you want a marriage certificate, death certificate, well, education, you got to go to your enemy to get it. Who's your enemy, Ephraim? Read.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Did they not do this to us? Where's that picture? There it is, right there. Look at this. You can step closer. You see them hangings right there of the Latino? Do you see what they're doing with the child right there? Did you know that they used babies, Latino babies, for dog food? They tied meat to the stomach of the pregnant Indian women and let the dogs eat through the meat and through their stomach. These are our enemies. But how come right now here in 2016 we were trying to be like Pitbull, dancing on stages, shaking our behinds with a whole bunch of blonde women around us like that's something cool? Abomination. Read verse 49.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49.
You ready for this?
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
Now, when Columbus and the conquistadors came to this side of America, this side, they coming from a far place, right? You was already here. Read.
From the end of the earth.
Compared to over here in this new land, they came from the ends of the earth. Read.
As swift as an eagle flieth.
As swift as the eagle flieth. As swift as the eagle flieth. Now, what is America's symbol today? Does anybody know?
Bald eagle.
Bald eagle. What was Rome's symbol? The eagle. Spanish, when conquistadors and Columbus and all them came, guess what? They had the eagle as their, you understand? So this is Bible prophecy, Ephraim. It's telling us that this nation, which their biblical name is Esau, Edom, they are the so-called white man, okay? Who are, according to the scriptures, is our enemies. You understand? Read it in context.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Did you understand the way that they spoke back when they first came over here? So let me ask you a question that you probably never thought of. How in the world did Columbus communicate with the Taino Indians when they came over? How did they communicate? How did he talk to them? How did they do trade? Do you know? What language did you speak? You spoke Hebrew. You understand? And when Columbus came, he brought Hebrew interpreters with them. Why? Because they knew that the Northern Kingdom, which is where you're from Ephraim down, was already here. They knew that. So they came prepared, Hebrew interpreters, to speak to you. Read.
Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young.
They didn't give a damn about the old lady, old man, and they damn sure didn't give a damn about the children. Look at that devil right there swinging and smashing a little baby head up against the tree. These are the things that they don't want to talk about. These are the things that when we bring out to our people, they don't want to hear. But I bet you they want to hear about Christmas and Thanksgiving and all those types of things. You don't celebrate Thanksgiving, do you?
Nah.
I would hope not.
I don't celebrate Christmas.
Let me say something. Come close. I want you to read this with me. Come. This is from a book called Lost Tribe of the Promised Land, right? Very expensive book. We're gonna read the highlighted sections. It says, all his life, Columbus' ideas about geography were permeated with a peculiar religious mysticism. He kept a book of prophecies in which he collected quotation mostly from the Bible, often those dealing with owls far off that seemed to prophesy his own discovery. We're going to jump down there. A striking element in Columbus' geographical religiosity is his intense and abiding interest in the 4th or 2nd book of Esdras. So he had a particular interest about that book. Let's see why. Because remember, he just said Columbus knew who was here. There you go. But Columbus seems to have found more in Esdras than just this geographical argument. Here is one of the things he writes about this verse in his marginal note. So right now, this section right here, those are the footnotes for Columbus in his own journal. But this prophecy is not accepted by the reprobate Jews, yet it has been accepted by the innumerable ones among them who have believed in the Gospels. Israel has thus been split in 2 branches, a division predicted as inevitable by the prophet Samuel to King Saul. The reprobate Jews themselves hold Esdras, that is the Old Testament Ezra, as a canonical authority. So he understood there was something that was written in the book of Esdras that many people did not accept, right? Dealing with the split of Israel. Israel was split into 2. You had the northern and the southern kingdom. The so-called Hispanic became the northern kingdom. The so-called blacks become the southern kingdom. We had a division, a fight. But the southern kingdom, northern kingdom moved somewhere from the Middle East. Because if we say you are Israel, Israelites came from the Middle East, how did you end up in America? You see where I'm coming from? Yeah. Brother gonna go over that with you. Right. I just wanted you to know that it is historically written that, actually, hold on. Let me just finish with this book real quick.
Yeah.
Hold the mic.
Wait. Let's go to 2 pages with you. Bear with me, bear with me. Alright.
This is from page 87. Duran came to see element of Judaic character in the old Aztec religion. At first, this tendency appears only as a fervent search for Jewish analogies provoked by Aztec customs such as eating only unleavened bread, which is a Jew's custom, and on certain days of the year. The prohibition of drinking liquid after the eating of certain ritual food, and the use of bath for purification. In time, this began to seem to Duran like overwhelming evidence that the Indians are indeed descendants from the lost tribe of Israel. Now this is what ancient scholars who walk among the Indians, observing them, see that every aspect of their life resembled those of the Jews of the Bible. One last page, and I'm going to go to the Bible to show you the correlation. Start on page 364. Those Indians, he told themselves, they are Hebrews. Right? We're going to jump to this paragraph right here. Waving a banner high in the air, the Indian guide soon was greeted by a puff of smoke far beyond the other bank of the river. In response to this signal, the 2 men waited. Eventually, a canoe appeared bearing 3 men and women, all of them Indians, to the place where Francisco and Montesinos were standing at the water's edge. The woman got off and spoke to Francisco in an Indian tongue that Montesino could not understand, although he could perceive that he was being identified in the conversation. She then turned to her male companion to explain the situation. Upon hearing her words, they arose, went over to Montesino, and to his utter astonishment said, Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohanu Adonai Ehud. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. They had recited in Hebrew, the Indians in Hebrew had recited the fundamental credo of Judaism. Jump to this part right here. They told them that they were themselves of the tribe of Reuben, and that the tribe of Joseph lived on an island nearby. Reuben lived in how you say, in the Florida Everglades. That's the tribe of Reuben, right? They said their other brothers, which of the tribe of Joseph, live on the island nearby. Do you know which tribe was Joseph?
Cuba?
Manasseh and Ephraim. They were the two sons of Joseph.
Okay.
They said they live on the island nearby.
Yeah.
Which island is close to Florida?
Cuba. I said Cuba, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Cuba and Puerto Rico. Now this was historical facts. Now he's gonna go to the Bible to show you that what we just read for you, that's documented in history. Now the reason this book is expensive is because most Negro would not spend $3 grand on a book, would they? They'll buy $3 grand on weed though. Smoking an ounce of weed of that purple kush, right? But they won't buy it in the book. This is why they always say in the world, if you want to hide something from a Negro, put it in the book. Right. So now we're going to associate the historical knowledge with the Bible. Let's see what the Bible has to say.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king.
Okay. Hosea the king. That's when our people, your people, the northern kingdom, was in captivity in Assyria. Okay? Once we were delivered out of the land of Egypt, that was the first captivity. Okay? Then came the Assyrian captivity after we were already in the land of Canaan for some time for being disobedient. Okay? After the kingdoms had split up. So your people went into captivity with the Assyrians, okay? That's what this is talking about in the time of Hosea the king. Read.
Led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Which is still out in the Middle East. Read.
But they took this counsel among themselves.
So along came a king named King Cyrus, okay? Who allowed both the southern and the northern kingdom after the Babylonian captivity to return to Jerusalem to rebuild our land again. But this is where the book of 2nd Esdras is saying they took counsel among themselves, and it explains itself. Read.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
They wanted to get the heck away from all the rest of the heathens. Go ahead.
And go forth into a further country.
They wanted to go into a further country. Go ahead.
Where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes where they never kept in their own land.
So they considered among themselves, we need to go somewhere far, far where mankind has never dwelt. That maybe there we could keep the laws, statutes, and commandments like we were supposed to be keeping them in our own land. But we keep getting conquered, and we keep all these heathens keep coming through. You understand? Read.
And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river.
Okay, they entered into the Euphrates River, which is around this area right here. The river to get to the narrow passages. The narrow passages of the river. Read.
For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood.
Held still the flood, meaning if you're going from a river to an ocean, there's some very, very, very strong currents. The Most High held back those currents, held back those floods, so that this was possible to travel. Read.
Till they were passed over. For though that the country there was a great way to go,
okay,
namely of a year and a half.
So it took them a year and a half to get from this side to this side. Of course, they had to make stops, replenish, get food, those types of things. But as traveling with all those many people, it took them a year and a half. Read.
And the same region is called Azareth.
In the same region is called Osiris. Osiris is the original and the ancient name, according to the Bible, of America. That was his name. So where does the name America come from? It comes from the Italian sailor Americo Vespucci. Understand? So go back to Deuteronomy 28 real quick and give me verse 68, and then we're going to get into some things that I want to show you. Because that's historical. That's our history. You see the officer brought it out of the history books, which coincides with the Bible. But they tried to take and they tried to hide this history so that we would never know this information.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Stop. So the Most High said that for breaking his laws and statutes, that he was going to bring us into Egypt again. Remember, we just got delivered out of Egypt. So the threat was, if we didn't keep his laws, he was going to bring us into Egypt again. Egypt is synonymous with the word bondage. Actually, the Greek word Egypt means bondage. But he's going to bring us into bondage again. You get, I see the understanding in your eyes. Read.
Again with ships.
With what?
With ships.
But this time, you're going to go back into bondage with ships. With ships. That look familiar to you? We went into bondage with ships, the Bible says. But guess what? Our blood of the northern kingdom said, well, what does that have to do with us? It has a lot to do with you guys, because as they were bringing us from the west coast of Africa to the Americas on ships, they were bringing your ancestors over to Europe and to Spain and to all those places. Guess how? On ships. You understand? So that's a Bible prophecy that's for the both of us. And before we get into it, I want to show you something. Give me Jeremiah 50 verse 33. I want to show you something. Because it's time as a people, as a nation, that we all come together. Okay? And that's actually scriptural. Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 33.
The book of Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah.
Stop. The children of Israel, to Naphtali, and the children of Judah, which is the whole nation of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? Listening?
Yep.
Read.
We're oppressed together.
We're oppressed together. Right here in the United States, we are all oppressed together. Read.
And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
So the nations that got us in captivity right now, they don't want to let us go. They're refusing to let us go. Right to this very moment. Okay? So now you understand that you are an Israelite, right? Do you believe that you're an Israelite? You see the records. You can read it for yourself. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 12. Because it's more to it than just knowing that we're Israel, because the information's out there. This is not hard to know. But the true essence of why we are out here is to get our people to repent. You understand what I'm saying? Check it out.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 12. And now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
Just love him, to serve the Lord thy God. So how do you love God? Do you know the formula for loving God? Well, we're going to get that. Bring that out in John chapter 5 verse 3. Because love is an action word. We got people all day. I can ask 150 million people walking up the street, do you love God? Oh yeah. You love God? Yes, I love God. No, they don't. No, they don't. Because to love God, you have to do some things.
I want to show you some more historical evidence. This is from ancient American Indian, right? I don't want to read by myself. I want you to see it. We're going to start here. Again, they have a feast. This is a gentleman by the name of James Adair. He worked for 40 years with the Native Americans, so he got real acquainted with their custom. Again, they have a feast of first fruits. Who kept the feast of first fruits? The Israelites. It's in the book of Leviticus. Okay? Celebrating with song and dancing, repeating hallelujah, hallelujah. That's a Hebrew word. Praise be to God. With great earnestness and fervor, they dance in three circles around the fire and that cooks these fruits on an altar, shouting the praises to Yahweh. What is Yahweh? Yahweh or Jehovah. Hearing this, I'll jump. We're gonna go into similarities in the custom. Then Adias offers the following reason for his belief that some of the American Indians were descended from the Hebrew cultures. Now he said some because guess what? At the end of the day, he's a white man. He still cannot attribute it the the nationality to all of them, because he don't want you to know that even though he's speaking the truth, he's still kind of like, you know, reticent about it. Don't want to tell you the whole truth, because if they're not Israelites, how do they get the word Yahweh? Because based on what they teach us in history, right? Yeah. This side of the world had no connection with the eastern part. Right. So if they had no connection, how would they know that word? Mm-hmm. If they don't have a Bible, how would they know that name? You're right. Or hallelujah. Right. Because what did they teach you about the natives when you were growing up in school? They're savages. Savages, they know how to read and write, right? Simple question for you. Can a man who doesn't know how to read and write build pyramids that cannot be duplicated? No. Not at all. So you know it's a damn lie. Yeah. So and this book and the Bible is proving that to you today. Let's look at some of the similarities in culture. Page 233. As the Israelites were divided into tribes and had chiefs, so the Indians divide themselves, each tribe forming a little community within the nation. Hebrews worship Jehovah, Indian Yahweh. I could just stop right there. I'll go a little further. Indian think deity to be the immediate head of their state. So basically, just like us, we believe God is our head. We don't appoint a man over us. God is our king. That's the same way the natives were as well. The Jews believe in the ministering of angels, as do the Indians. They believe the higher region to be inhabited by good spirits, whom they call Hutup. I can't pronounce that word. And Nana Ishtohula, which mean respectively holy people, and relations to the great holy one. The Indian language and dialects appear to have the very idiom and genius of the Hebrews. So that means what language were they speaking? Hebrew. Hebrews. Now we show you that Columbus knew that who was inhabited, who was living here. So that means to communicate with him, what did he have to have? The language. Interpreters. And I didn't bring that book with me. There's another book that talk about the interpreters that he brought here with him. That's both Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. I'll do one more. They count time after the manner of the Hebrews, which is following the full moon. And it goes on and on and on. So history has proven it, but we were raised in an education system that does not care about us, that teaches lies. Like civilization started with the Greeks. But Babylon was the greatest empire. So how can civilization start with the Greeks? You see where I'm coming from? Lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. Right. Today is your day to learn the truth. Yeah.
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join IUIC will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join IUIC to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this Join IUIC channel to get your latest updates from all our YouTube channels. Shalom.